pangs of love, a little love struck, get a little excited, get a little romantic, want to fall deeply and scarily in love with somebody? Oh boy, are you ready for this starstruck feeling of being struck by Cupid's arrow? It's Valentine's Day. Get ready for it. I know my wife isn't. So I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick, folks.
We're old friends dissecting one topic at a time. People, technology, media, we've got it all covered.
Each discussion here is a deep dive into our unique perspective. With taboo, forbidden subjects, they're all on the chopping block, baby. We don't pander to popular opinion. We might even get a little bit dirty.
Warning, this podcast may contain mature language and sexual content, and is for infotainment purposes only.
So join us. Have a good time.
Open up your ear holes, because we're going to fondle your follicles. Alrighty. Another Unpanders episode.
Just another one, or? Oh!
One of the best.
Valentine's Day is coming up, folks.
Yeah, I'm surprised we could get this one in there before it happened. Obligations of love. It's like commitment.
It's like a holy day of obligation. You know, you have to go to church.
Mm-hmm.
We have to go to love church.
So the chapel. We got to get married. I forget how the song goes.
And I forget how it goes as well. So, real quick to get this out of the way, if we're getting shot with an arrow, it's by Cupid, right?
Yeah.
He's the short, chubby, fat angel, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anything? That's it? Just who he is?
I don't know where he comes from. That's probably a myth. You have factual evidence on this guy?
I don't, but
Sightings?
I thought I had heard somewhere that back in Roman times, when Christianity was early on, that he was marrying people.
This is St. Valentine. St.
Oh,
Valentine was marrying. No, he was marrying soldiers.
Yeah, listen, St. Valentine, Cupid. I had no idea. This is news to me.
Yeah, he was marrying soldiers, and they said you can't do that, so we're gonna kill you. Love the judge, and on his deathbed, he said, "You're Valentine," to the judge, who miraculously had his daughter cured from blindness.
That makes sense to me. Love is blind.
Martyrs. Who knows?
Martyrs.
Blind faith.
Well, that's pretty. It's a little darker than But either way, it sounds like love is in the air. And
Cupid. Cupid is eros.
Oh, Cupid's someone else.
So the Greeks believed in eros. The Romans believed in Cupid.
Mm-hmm.
Desire.
No kidding.
Romance. Amor.
Ooh.
For those Italians out there.
And for all the French out there, amor.
It's a Romance language, of course.
It's so beautiful, of course.
Yeah.
So that's pretty. Now I know the difference. See, I never knew.
Yeah, they touch at the tips.
Yes, they do.
Tips of your tongue.
That's love.
Yeah.
Tips of their tongues. First French kiss. Mine was at a party in 4th grade. Spin the bottle. Yeah, I think it was Karen. I think I kissed my friend Alicia at that party.
Oh, Alicia.
Yeah, I kissed her at that party. Yep.
Oh.
I kissed 3 girls at that spin the bottle party.
3?
4.
What?
3 or 4. Well, because we were playing spin the bottle. Like you had to.
And there was only 3 girls and you?
No, there was like I want to say like 5 guys, 5 girls. Someone's parents went around. I don't know. This was like a wild party back in the day.
Mine was a truth or dare in front of my friend Mike's house with, I think, a neighbor girl who was Irish Scottish descent. She was cute.
Oh yeah.
But
freckles and everything?
Tons of freckles. Yeah. I think I might have been in 6th grade.
Hell yeah, dude.
I don't know if that's love.
Was that truth or dare, by the way? Yeah, I guess that has to be a dare.
That has to be a dare. Truth, do you want to kiss her? Yes.
I
knew it was.
Good point. So what we're going to get into today is not so much Valentino or Cupid or anyone else. We're going to talk about the underlying theme. Lovey.
Symbolized by the heart. The big
heart.
unfeeling heart that symbolizes the most passionate level a human can get to. Love.
You know why it's shaped like that? It's not anything like a real heart. It's shaped like that because it's a big old badonkadonk. You know what I'm saying? That's a booty. If
Or
I've ever
boobies.
said so.
Could be boobies.
I think it's a booty. Have you ever seen like a big sweaty booty leave a booty mark on
That's
a
love.
bench? That's love, my man.
That's love to you.
That's love.
Oh.
Magnifique. So,
The
love.
varieties of love? We talk
Well,
about...
I was just going to go with definition of love.
Sure.
Love is defined. Oh, I think that's romantic love.
Oh.
I guess so. Well,
Do-
fine. Break it down then.
Let me do it.
Yeah, break them down.
Love
What kind of loves we got?
encompasses a variety of strong and positive emotional and mental states, ranging from the most sublime virtue or good habit, the deepest interpersonal affection, to the simplest pleasure.
Hot diggity dog. I was literally thinking that.
Yeah.
Those
Like-
exact words.
Oh, good. So what does that really mean?
That's a good question. It kind of means everything. Isn't it like everything good you feel towards someone could be love? A little bit.
Yeah, so they broke it down into 5 different categories. I think this was the Greeks. So there was a divine love, which was called...
Divine/spiritual, my favorite one.
Yeah.
That's some God love.
Yeah.
I love Jesus. I'm in love with, to quote Charlie Kelly from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, I'm in love with a man. What's that? That's right, a man named God. I'm gay for God. That's such
Oh,
good
that's a
episode.
good line. The whole show's great.
It is good.
So that's also
But that's
your...
spiritual, divine love.
Yeah. Your love for God and God's love for you. That's called agape in Greek.
Okay, good. I thought you were getting pretty dark there. I have
You said
never
man
heard
love.
that term.
Yeah, they call it agape.
Big ol' agape. Agape?
It could be agape. I don't know. Who knows?
I'm not sure. It sounds way fancier than gaping hole or
Yeah,
whatever.
it does. Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
you were
what's-
thinking it.
What's next?
Familial love or storge.
Ah, mi familia.
Yeah. So that's unconditional love that comes from, well, most families, I guess.
Mhm.
Depends on your family.
most families.
Which I
makes
understand
sense.
is if you have a son or a daughter or your
Brother,
parent.
your co-
Yeah. Things that you're supposed to, you have a deep
Does it-
connection to them.
Does it vary on that level? I know people can argue this. Like, your love for your cousin isn't the same as your love for your brother. Like, you know what I mean?
That's true. There's
Like,
an
love for your
attachment.
child is like not the same as your love for your great aunt. I mean,
Yeah, there's an attachment theory where they did tests on babies where they're like, okay, you're going to sit 3 minutes with your mom, 3 minutes with your dad, 3 minutes with a random stranger. And they're trying to figure out how attached they get to each one.
Did any of the babies do it right, or could they not tell time?
They definitely could not tell time.
Scientists did it for them. I understand.
They said
Did
that
they find a difference?
I don't really know if it's like, because you can't really take a baby out of the environment where it
It's
already
3
knows their
minutes.
parents.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. You're right.
So
right. That's
the results were inconclusive. It was really that like the baby was fixated on mom most of the time because they had
we
spent
need
most
a
of the time with
wild
mom.
child, someone who is locked in their room for years and years to study this kind
Huh.
of thing on.
I wonder
Someone-
if someone exists.
Free dinners every goddamn night. Anyway, moving on. What's the next?
So,
form of
wait.
love? I'm sorry.
Wait. The attachment theory. I'm just gonna make
Okay,
sure I get
go
this
ahead.
out of
You
the way.
actually-
So there's four
Please do.
different. Yeah, there's 4 different categories of attachment theories that you could have.
Mm-hmm.
Secure, which is that you're totally fine with not being attached to somebody, so you can explore your environment and learn and grow and be a healthy citizen to the United States or else.
Who's that in familial? Is that
That's
familial?
me. No, this is attachment theory. So like your
Oh,
family.
well, thanks. There's something else. Okay.
Yeah, well, your family is who you get attached to first, or you should.
Sure.
So there's
You should.
also like anxious ambivalent. Sorry, this is a segue. And then that makes you like anxious of someone leaving you. And then anxious
Mm-hmm.
avoidant is that you don't want to be with your parents. And then disorganized, which means you don't have an association whatsoever. That some people have zero emotions, like they're psychopaths or
We've
sociopaths.
discussed those people
Yeah.
before.
We have, and narcissists. But we'll get on to the next. We'll get on to the next categories before we segue too far away. We do a little tangent. Okay, so you have friendly love, which is philia.
Friendly love. That's a love between two friends who want to do a podcast.
2 buddies, yeah, a bromance.
Wow. That's kind of a love that I'd videotape.
Yeah.
once or twice a week.
Yeah, for an hour or and a half.
Or more.
Yeah.
Or an hour or more.
Amazing.
Some people might say it's too long. They're wrong. Because this is
Yeah.
buddy love. What's it
Yeah,
called?
platonic, friendly, philia love.
Philly love. So one of
Philia.
them's from Philly and one's not. Okay, I understand.
I did read a study that the love between two men on this level is not as strong as the love between two women on this level.
Is that because they can be sexually
That has nothing. It's platonic. It's completely
I
platonic.
know, but would you also say it's easier for two women in this phase to be sexually active with one another than it is for two men in this phase?
The percentages say that women are more likely to have a same-sex couple.
Boom. Probably have a sexual encounter with another person of the same sex. Sometimes a friend, right?
Do you have a story about
this? Not at all. Let's move on.
Well,
what other kind of friendship?
The bromance version, the opposite side, is a womance. Just making sure.
I never heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah,
cool.
That's what we're here. What we're here to do, and that's what we're about.
Womances.
So guest love. So that's where you have, humility.
Like Questlove?
Questlove.
The drummer.
Guest.
Yeah, he plays drums.
He does.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, he's awesome. Guest. It's hospitality. Xenia.
I know the Greeks were big into hospitality. Ask Odysseus. That was a running theme through the Odyssey.
They didn't welcome him back to his own home. How was?
Well, no. But
everyone along the
anytime
way,
someone stayed in your home because they needed somewhere to stay, you were not allowed to kill them like in their sleep in your house. It's like one of the biggest crimes.
That's so.
It's
nice.
a running theme through Game of Thrones. I don't know if anyone's caught on with that.
Really?
You think of Daenerys.
Red Wedding? Does that?
Yeah, that's bad. Like, that's hugely bad karma. That's literally the opposite of what you should do, and he reaps his sons in a pie, I believe. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But then there's someone like Daenerys who has Jon Snow in her castle, and she could punish him, and she even thinks about it in her house, like he comes of his own accord, and she doesn't. She's gracious to him because he's a guest. And the Greeks believe that treating your guests hospitably and without murdering them is one of the nicest things you can do, even if it's your enemy. Kill them on battlefield. Don't kill them in your guest room because you're getting blood out of the sheets and the floor, and marble stains very easily. It's a porous material.
Gotta make sure you coat it appropriately in cleaners. Seal it properly.
That's correct. 10-year seal. 10-year sealer.
Oh, nice. So
$500.
The last one, I think the most interesting one, is romance, which is eros and cupid and all of the things that we focus on as men, fixated on trying to find that eros. That sweet
Actually,
love.
I have the definition of romantic love.
Yes.
This is one person's definition. I forget who. It's on. You can find it on Wikipedia. Not sure how good of a source it is, but check it out. It's the idealization of the other individual, and in parentheses it says sexual in nature, that carries expectations of enduring some time into the future.
Wow, that encompasses quite a bit.
Right? And I was like, that's stupid. And I was like, that's really good. Because you're realizing the other person is an individual. You're realizing they have things you lack. You're realizing they have value of their own, not necessarily because you enjoy that in them. And it's also sexual in nature. And it also carries expectations that it will endure for some time. I mean, no one knows how long, but like at least 6 months.
Yeah, there's 3 prongs that I found, which I think you've covered 2 of them. The passion and the romance, and then the commitment, which is a permanence. And then the intimacy, which is not necessarily
you're
sexual.
Talking about psychologist Robert Sternberg in 1986, my man. I know where you're going.
Yeah.
He did the triangle love theory. So go ahead. What? So at the top is passion, because that's the most important, right?
I don't know what's at the pinnacle. Is it passion? I would assume
I think it's interchangeable. I was being a dick.
But I mean, if you're, this is a sideways discussion. So if you are to meet somebody, what's the first thing you see about them? It's usually that you're physically attracted to them through the visual aspects of them. So it's probably romance and passion, which gets it kicked off. It gets a little lusty. I don't think it's
And-
intimacy right away, because that takes time.
No,
and it's
but
not.
that's the next step, right?
Yeah, intimacy has to do with sharing of information and being
Emotional. It's an emotional thing
Yep.
too. It's like you're emotionally connecting to someone.
Yeah, you're sharing
And
all that
then
you
over
have.
here, going this way, I got commitment, because commitment also entails
Marriage.
well, engagement ring, wedding ring, suffering, folks.
Yep.
But no, seriously, commitment is about suffering a little bit. I mean, you're giving up your own good to stay in a relationship, oftentimes through money, emotional support, physical pain, emotional pain, and then you go back up to passion, which is a physical thing.
Mhm.
So that's like romantic love, baby.
Yeah, I think we'll come
It's
back to
hot.
that towards the end.
I think we will. I think you will.
I most certainly will.
Hmm.
Let's talk about the drive and the desire, the very beginning, when it's the most interesting. You have the most hope. You have the most. Oh, you have all those dreams, fantasies about somebody that's going to be amazing.
Is this puppy love?
This is. I'm going to start off with a game of love. So, like, you first meet somebody, you've got that new relationship energy, which is a definable thing. That you finally are courting somebody and you're going after them, and they say that in the very beginning stages you could have puppy love, which is kind of like an immature and superficial love. It's transient, it moves around a lot, so you don't really you can't have lasting puppy love. The same thing with new relationship energy is that you are finally dating somebody and you're close together and you just have this like burst of energy that just lasts.
Everything about them is interesting. Everything about them is so new. Everything about them is so funny. Everything about them is so great.
It's overwhelmingly
The
positive.
first fart,
Giggle, giggle, giggle.
right in your mouth through the scuba gear. Anyway,
you gotta take off the latex here. Oh, you're watching too many 50 Shades. And then so
is that a thing in 50?
it should have been. I don't know why they didn't cover it.
With scuba mask. Into a snorkel.
I would have loved to see my wife's reaction. She'd be like, "Do you think about this?" I'd be like, "No." That's disgusting.
That's true love right there. That's true.
Oh, lying when you know to lie.
Infatuation, infatuation. Oh yeah, my man.
Oh, infatuation has this negative context. Is that you're too in love with somebody, that you're stuck on them, and you have no logical reason to really pursue them because they don't. Most of the time, I don't think. If you're saying someone's infatuated with somebody, it's usually not receptive by the other person.
Now, what if it is? Is it called something else?
I think that's just called romance. If you're both infatuated with each other, you might be in your own little world, and I guess that's bliss.
Bless, dude.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's
Pursuit
crazy
of happiness. Those
I think so.
bastards.
I think that happens to teenagers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
And they just get lost in each other's gravity. You know what I mean?
and then when they fall out of orbit, they realize that they're 28 and they should have done something else with their lives. And man, all those kids, they really stack up.
I was checking your age on my watch, but you're all right.
I'm good. I'm covered.
I'm making sure you're good. You're good.
I made sure it was a reasonable age.
Good age. Good age.
So that infatuation is an obsessive portion. It's unrequited love, when people don't actually.
Ooh, unrequited love. I like that.
Yeah, they don't respond. They're unrequited.
Damn. I used requite later in the.
I covered it.
That's so
Covered
good.
it. So there was a
That's
term. There's a term here that I.
Let's not go to this. Here, last one before you talk about your favorite term is did you know the beginnings of the word romance? It's actually Spanish and Italian. Actually, it's Greek in origin, but no one 100% knew what it meant. It was like I think it was eventually picked up by Spanish and Italian languages to mean conversely adventurous and passionate, which is interesting. It didn't actually mean love like the way love is used.
Not a physical
Romance
love.
It was like you said something was romantic and it was adventurous or passionate, often used in tragedies because it was used in stories a lot, and it always resulted in a tragedy, which is interesting because all our best tragedies are love tragedies, right? Is there anything that's not a love tragedy?
So this touches on the same thing about like courting and courtly love. Courtly love didn't exist before they started writing stories about knights going and saving princesses.
The knights and chivalry. Yeah. I didn't think we were going to go here. We going here.
Yeah, we're going here. So they started giving presents and then rings and then all sorts of stuff that just doesn't make very much sense to me because it's all materialistic. But then people started buying into it, and then it becomes tradition, and now you're shelling out $4 or $5 on a ring you don't even want to spend money on. But that's how it goes. That's how it goes.
That explains what we saw earlier, folks.
Yeah.
Cheap.
What are you supposed to spend like 3 months of your salary on it? Holy crap! That's a lot. Who made that up? The people who make the
salary.
rings.
Trust me, if it were my salary, it would be a little lower number. All right.
I'm gonna take off of work for those 3 months, and then I'll get you a good ring.
I'm on unemployment, babe. Here's your ring. So you touched on something that I wanted to touch on. That's infatuation. It's very unreasoned passion. There's a crazy, it's like they call it your crush phase, I believe. Infatuation and crush came together a lot. The reason it's interesting to me is because teenagers do it a lot, right? It's like first love is your big crush. Mm-hmm. It's your infatuation.
It's illogical.
Sometimes it's reciprocated. Sometimes it isn't. Regardless, you end up spending time. Your payment towards the love is like time. Like you carve their name into a desk or a tree and write KD loves so-and-so and so-and-so loves so-and-so. You buy them weird, extravagant gifts. You spend time writing them poems, which don't make any sense, really. I mean, writing someone a poem, I don't know where that began. You buy them a ring or chocolates, or you save up money to give them things or follow them and write songs about them. It's not so much the item they're getting as the time you spent doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And why would you do it? No one friggin' knows. And that makes it more lovey-dovey in a way, doesn't it?
Unless they don't want that. Like I know a mutual friend of ours showed up in the back of a sedan playing a guitar, and that woman was confused.
But that's not the point of it. It's not. It's really like a woman doesn't want that actual ring. Like, what does this actually do? It's the symbol.
Restricts your blood flow to the finger.
That's what but it's the idea is they want you to spend time and money on them, or ideas, and mostly time. It's really about spending time doing something that you wouldn't do for anyone else. Would you buy anyone else a ring? Would you ever buy me a ring?
Would I buy you a ring?
Yes.
No, probably not.
So what does that say about her?
Unless you're ready to commit a lot of time to me.
But I mean, think of it. So you're buying her something you wouldn't buy for anyone else in the world.
I suppose. Right? So I think it's the flip side, though. If you have a kid, then you have to spend a lot of time. So they're trying to figure out whether you're ready to spend a lot of time making a baby and figuring things out with the baby.
I mean, that probably plays into it. But it's all about time. Jeez, all of it. Whew. Well, anyway, that's why I was going to say the chivalrous knight thing and buying people jewelry and buying people roses and doing all this stuff. It's literally a waste of time. But that wasted time is such a waste of time. It's showing how much you care about that person.
Yeah.
I'm willing to waste all my time doing this ridiculous move to show I love you. And it's like, aw. It's like, you really like him singing that song? You're like, no, not at all. I'm just glad he's wasting his goddamn Wednesday. Right here in front of me. Oh, you like that, you son of a bitch knight? Yeah, keep singing. You know what I mean? And she's just up here having a good time. And she's like, he's still doing it. This guy, he's crazy about me.
Girls just want to have fun.
To quote Plato, correct?
Yeah. I thought it was Aristotle.
I get him confused.
Yeah, so difficult. If you do give a woman a rose, it should be a red rose because that symbolizes passion and romance.
What's a pink rose?
It's in between. What? Really?
I made that. No, I made that up.
No, because the white rose is supposed to be platonic. Is that you just love somebody platonically?
Given some. There's like I think there's Reddit pages dedicated to in the
incels.
Close. What's the one that's in the friend zone?
Oh, right.
And it's like really attractive girls that like post on social media because. I can't believe you're such a good friend, so-and-so. And it's like a picture of her and him, and she's like super smoking and he's not. And it's like, He bought me chocolates, my favorite wine. He helped do my homework and everything. I couldn't ask for a better friend. And it
Oh.
says that in the post, and it's like, it's my favorite thing. I forget why I brought that up.
I have no idea, but it reminded me
There's
of
a reason.
what I want to say: close calls or close encounters. What's the word? You know what I'm talking
Do you
about?
know I had one of them?
Yeah, you did. Did you?
Yeah. No, I didn't. I didn't actually take advantage, and I wonder if I should have. I was on the mountain in Colorado, okay, snowboarding, and I'm going down, and I had to stop at one point because I was up on a huge mountain. I could see we're thousands of feet in the air. It was awesome, beautiful, and I stopped at a spot to A, catch my breath, and B, take a picture. And a girl who I didn't know also stopped to take a picture. My girlfriend, who came on the trip with me, was nowhere to be seen. She didn't go on me with that trip. So it was just me and this random girl who was like my age and attractive was there. And she was like, if you take a picture of me in the background, I'll take a picture of you in the background. And I said, okay. And then she said, it's my birthday next week. And I said, that's awesome. And I looked at her, and there was this weird moment where I was like, I should make out with this girl. I was like, I didn't know who she was. And she waited for something to happen. Like we were both just waiting for something. And I was like, no, that's bad. Okay, I'll see ya. And I put on my goggles and I went back down the mountain. And she was thinking about it, and I was thinking about it.
You knew it.
And wait, and I'm pretty sure I saw her like within a day or two later hanging around with her boyfriend. And I was with my girlfriend. Like, if I did it, made out with her on that mountain, I never would have had to tell anyone, even this podcast. And I wonder to this day, like, what would have happened? Would I just have this crippling guilt?
Oh, the serendipity.
Or,
it's oozing.
Or would it just be one of those things where I was like, that's a crazy picture now. Every time I look at the picture, I'd be like, ooh, that girl, I don't even know her name.
But did she post on Craigslist? I found that you, on the top of a mountain, you took a photo and talked about my birthday. Go back in time, Nick. Get that serendipity and wrangle its throat and say, F you, serendipity.
I did get that on this mountain. That's right. That's a UCL joint.
Yeah.
That bad boy. Yep. That same day or two. Not going to blame my girlfriend.
Might not have happened if you made out with that girl. Would it change the course of time? So, another thing is that I think a lot of women in like rom-coms, they get this idea that somebody's just going to fall into their laps and they're just going to be happy forever and it's going to work out. As a guy, the guy does all the work. So, I'm pretty sure the woman...
In rom-coms?
Yeah, the woman doesn't pay attention to that the guy is like coming after them and like bringing all this stuff to them and making the effort. Because most of the time in dating and stuff, it's never that the woman comes after me. Like I wish that I could just sit there and have women just flock and cover me and all sorts of, I don't know,
honey,
what?
Barbecue sauce.
Yeah, condiments.
I could see that. Condiments and condoms, baby. That's what we're all about here at the Panders.
Oh, delicious. Condiments.
I like you clarified. I was already there, and now I'm thinking in my head, strawberry flavored, like rib for her pleasure. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I mean. That would be delicious. Rib for her pleasure. Tastes like latex. No thanks.
No, but I mean, serendipity makes sense for a woman, maybe. But for a man, it's like, you know, I did all the effort, I did all the work, and you gave me no credit, which sounds a lot like a relationship.
Now, interestingly enough, would you say men do all the work and do all the first moves and all that in love because they also have all the power in society and the paycheck and all that? Yeah. And would you say that as women become more and more equal, maybe even become more powerful for all we know in 40 years? I don't know. Would the onus then be on them to court men?
I think it would be. I really feel like they'll become more powerful than men. Memes. Powerful than memes.
Women will never be more powerful than memes. Let me just say that. But anyway.
No, maybe it's flipping, though. Maybe they do become more powerful and then feel like they should be the aggressors. But should. Then we have the physicality, so we're always stronger, more muscly. A lot of the theories that I have about men and women is that men provide more to women because they're just stronger, that they have more influence and protection, and just having protection is an important thing. But that actually, I think, is shifting too. If you give a woman a gun, She's just as strong as a man.
Cool. And how often are you using your physical onus to protect your woman in here 2018?
Almost never.
2019. What are we doing? Anyway, yeah. How many are you like? Get away from her! Puffing up like a pufferfish, threatening people. Back up. Here, babe. I'll open that jar of pickles. Pop. You know, is that your
Sploosh.
Value right there?
Sploosh. I just dropped the jar of pickles. Sploosh. Oops.
Is that a sexual term? So let's move on to your favorite term and the big term of this podcast that I didn't know.
This is what I love about the podcast, is that I find these words that make perfect sense.
Or I find them, folks.
No. Limerence. Limerence. I'll just say that again. Limerence. So, limerence is something that I don't know if when you were reading this, were you thinking about moments that you were limerent?
Limerence could still apply to my relationship right now, for all we know. And there's different parts of it. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's a characteristic that when people meet, and this is psychologist Dorothy Tenoff, she coined the term limerence.
It's very studied. It's not just one lady. Like, this is getting a lot of following. This is big publicity. Look it up, folks. Learn your limerence. Listen up, okay? Everyone, pipe down. Stop talking. Listen to the podcast right now.
Yeah, so this is cross-culture, cross-peoples. She said that, I guess when people find each other and they meet, there's usually one party that is, I guess, fully for it. They're fully on board. And then it starts to pervade their life. So they start focusing on that person. It starts popping in their brain randomly. They think of all sorts of things that could possibly happen. They get a little into the fantasy portion of it. They start imagining what that person would be like. And they start getting a little fixated. But the fixation might not necessarily be bad as long as that person reciprocates. But they say there's certain people that are permanently stuck in limerence that are looking for that person. And they just keep transferring the limerence onto a new person. They keep going and going until they find that one, the one.
So not to skip ahead of limerence, because limerence is a big subject we could talk about.
Yeah, do it.
Did you read that there are couples that are limerence and limerence couples, limerence non-limerence couples, and stuff like that?
Keep going.
So if you distribute or exhibit signs of limerence, you're lovingly attached, lovingly affectionate. Literally, it's a cognitive condition. It's not an emotion. It's something that actually happens in your brain. It's similar to the effects of OCD. Like some of the same parts of the brain go off that OCD
because you're forced to think about that person even though you don't want to.
It's like an addiction a little bit.
Yeah.
You have to clean it. You have to think about them. You have to talk about them. You have to do this.
Low serotonin levels? I think it was related to like people who are overly limerent have low serotonin.
Oh. Well, did you know you can become in a relationship with someone who is not equally limerent to you? There are couples that are limerent, where they're both infatuated a little bit. I'm using the word infatuated, but it's not quite infatuation. It's like obsession, but not obsession. I don't know if you have a cheat sheet on how limerence is different than infatuation, but it is, folks. It is. But anyway, couples that are limerent positive each tend to burn out.
Really?
They don't. Yeah, they don't last as long. They don't last as long as a couple that's limerent and non-limerent. Because
someone is amorous and someone is based in reality. I guess they're both not based in reality.
Hold on. This too. This might apply to someone in this podcast. I'm not going to name names. But one person's always limerent and hanging on, and then if months go by where the other partner is not really feeling it, it's not really showing signs of affection, it's not really treating the other very well, and then they do for like a hot 2 days, the limerent individual becomes very excited again, like, oh, we're back, it's going good again, like everything's great, and they're reignited and everything, and it kind of works out for a little while, and then the other partner goes back to reality, and the limerent one's hanging around here very long, and
they're the one that remains fixated even through the bad portions.
Yes, and then they get stoked again during those portions. The only danger is that those partners in the study I read can become fixated on anyone else who may return a limerent attitude. Someone else at work or at somewhere else can stoke those same fires that you're leaving alone.
Mhm.
Again, it almost sounds like we're talking about love, but it's not quite
Crushes.
love.
Crushes.
But
When
it's
you have
in
a crush.
between crush and love. I don't
Something
know.
more
It's somewhere in
realistic
between.
than a crush. Yeah,
Hmm.
there are portions of like Limerence where you look at somebody and you just see all the positives, that they have all this, like, all these great qualities. They're beautiful, and they're intelligent.
Fun. They're, I love being around them. I just need to be around them. I need to
Yeah,
talk about them.
you never see that they have half a thumb and they can't act.
That sounds like someone from Jurassic Park too.
Oh,
And someone else. Damn it! I wish I knew the other actor. Remember?
he's from Friends. He's the one who's addicted to cocaine and could barely say his
Oh,
lines.
and lost his
Chandler.
weight and everything.
Yeah,
Oh, Bing.
Perry.
No, that's his real name.
Matthew
Perry.
Perry.
Matthew Perry. Damn it. Damn it. And the other one was Ben Affleck.
Oh, sorry.
Messed up his name
Batman.
again.
Damn it.
Thank you, Ben Affleck. Thank you.
So
God damn.
Limerence? No, I was reading through this Limerence, and I get this like maybe
I
like
forgot his
once
real
every.
name. You were supposed to fill me in. I said Ben Affleck.
Yeah, he was Batman for a second. I don't know which
I
one.
know, but who? The thumb. Jurassic Park.
Oh, that was
Old
Vince
school
Vaughn.
smokes.
Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn. Thank you, dude. I literally forgot his name.
Good. Yeah, good thing you caught me,
damn
because
it.
I would
I'm
have
getting
I
all-
would just speed bumped right over that
We
20,
were
30
not
miles an
glossing
hour.
over that, folks. Yeah, 40 miles. What did you come out with Limerence? Let's go into Limerence a little bit. Is Limerence allowed to be platonic?
Yeah, I mean, in certain cases, you're forced to be
kinda
platonic because
is.
they don't reciprocate.
You can have a limerick relationship.
Yeah, but I think most of the time, the way I read this
It's
article
not. Okay.
was that,
Most of the time, maybe it's
I
not.
mean, I have found people in my life where I've been immediately attracted to them, and then I want something more out of it. And then I'd read into what they said or did. Like, they have one thing that you can read off of in that 2 minutes that you meet them. And then
And you think about that, break it down like 800 different ways.
I'm an overthinker and overanalyzer. So, like,
I've heard
for
this.
like a month, I start, like, it pops in my brain when I'm doing nothing at all. And I'm just like, I kind of wish this would work. Like, it makes me think that, like, maybe they're really into me. And then when they don't respond at all, I'm like, maybe they're thinking it. Maybe they're playing coy. Like, you think about all the possibilities that don't hurt you. Like, what's the best possibility here? And you try to go with that because you want it to work.
Worst possibility here.
Yeah.
You definitely think of that too.
The realistic side of me says this is the worst possible outcome, and this is
No,
the worst.
realistic is worst is like worse. Realistic is somewhere in between the two, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, the worst possible outcome is that they see
Right, the
you
worst
in the
possible.
worst light possible. Is that you're
Freak.
all those
You're a
bad
freak.
things.
You're
Yeah.
a freak.
How could you say hi to me? That's terrible. Oh God. No. He kept saying hi over and over again.
He said, "Hello, I'm here to talk to the police in the area."
Yeah.
So what I did notice when I came across Limerence is that a couple words kept popping up, which, interestingly enough, don't always pop up with all the other loves.
Yeah.
It was the greatest hope, despair, and joy,
Yeah.
which you kind of just described all three, didn't you?
I certainly
There's
did.
hope, there's despair that the worst is possible, and then if anything is reciprocated, it's a great joy. It's
Yeah, there's a fear there that is essential to human life, I think, is that you're trying to find a mate, at least for a man, at almost all times. And if you don't find that mate, then essentially you've died. Your genes have died, which is the worst possible outcome in terms of time.
I don't disagree with that. This sounds like an extinction episode conversation, but weird.
Yeah, it's coming up.
So here we're getting into love. Is it weird that courtship is the way it is? I didn't go into it big, but think about it. Courtship has become important to society since, I think they've had like wedding ceremonies as long as the Greeks and Romans,
So
before that even.
let's focus on
Good.
so like courting somebody. Say you were in a society that chose your mate for you, that it was compulsory that you just get married to whoever they decided.
Do you know how I read an article that we might want to bring up that I didn't tell you about?
Hit it. Sounds great.
Okay. It's going to tie into right what you're talking about. So there's a Quartz article in 2014 by Chris Mims, homie of mine. Shout out, he loves the podcast. The article's called "What if the purpose of love is to get us out of relationships, not into them?" I thought that's pretty deep. So he did a study, or he did writing down of what other people studied. Monogamy is present in only 3 to 5% of all animals we know. That's a low ass number. The chances that we are monogamous by nature
almost
might
nothing.
be a little. That's pretty crazy to think that. Yeah. So us and penguins, like what? You know what I mean? Like, oh, it skipped a few other animals and it went right to penguins. 80% of cultures that are non-industrialized, like ones that don't have we call them first world problems. Yeah. Ones that aren't first world problem countries, third world countries, 80% of them practice non-monogamy, a form of non-monogamy, which
polygamy.
Might mean they don't. I mean, you might have one wife, but you're allowed to do other stuff with other people.
The Italian mistress.
And support the one.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. What's that term? I never heard that.
So that's like notorious. In Italy, they always had a mistress where they would actually support financially, but the wife would somehow put up with it. I don't understand the Italian culture.
Because she kept supporting her.
Yeah.
This is like the movie with Johnny and Cher, Moonstruck.
I don't know this movie at all. You're going to have to synopsisize
what's his name? They say he's crazy. He was in not Air Force One, the other one.
Johnny Depp?
I keep wanting to say Johnny Cage. No.
Nicolas Cage?
Thank you. Nicolas Cage.
Really?
It was Nicolas Cage and Cher. My girlfriend and family love this. It's called Moonstruck. And he's going to marry a woman, but I think he falls in love with her sister and starts courting her. And then, like, the father of the family, it turns out he's always having an affair with the same woman over and over. And they see each other out at, like, this ballroom, and he's like, and they see each other, like, cheating on each other. And it's like, it's a really good movie, I think. I just don't remember it 100%. Okay,
so what was the point that you were bringing up? Is that the Italian mistress is in that movie? And
yeah, I think that is an Italian mistress, sort of, because it's super Italian, that movie. Johnny Carrera? Yeah, it's Mr. Johnny Come Lately. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. They're super Italian.
Yeah. I think also it probably has to do with the way the culture survives, because, like, maybe this is an assumption here that, like, after World War II, the Italians were probably deprived of men. If there's more women than men, then it's like you're supporting another woman who probably can't find a mate, so it's understandable that you would spread your wealth and love around.
So there's a phrase that comes up a lot in birds, actually. It's called socially monogamous. You have one mate, but oftentimes in certain bird species, they'll have 6 eggs in a nest, but only 4 of them belong to the mother bird.
How does that work?
I didn't read the whole article. I don't know if the other bird laid her eggs there and she still hatches them and watches over them, like a mistress type bird, because maybe the bird can't count eggs, which would make sense. Anyway, the father bird stays and still feeds worms to all of them and stays with the woman, but, like, it's like
sneaks in
as long as he stays with her, he can sneak in a few.
I feel like if you did this to your own girlfriend/wife.
Oh no! Oh my god! You don't remember giving birth? You don't remember? It's twins. One's like 4 months older and, like, just blonde and, like, looks Swedish, and you're like, yeah, this is yours.
Yeah.
But the idea in this whole article was that most marriages are arranged, most relationships become entangled, and then in the Christian idea, we marry and we're not allowed to divorce. You are literally illegal in the church. You have to have children and procreate and do et cetera, et cetera. So the idea was you're not going to break that law because you can get disassociated from your family, cut off from the church. You can literally get fired from your job 100 years ago if you cheated on your wife, right? I mean, think about it, right?
Maybe, yeah.
You could. Depends on the job. Anyway, so the idea is maybe the only way you leave a relationship is this feeling of love. How crazy is that? The only way you would cheat on your wife is love.
As if you found love elsewhere. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Yes, love. That's what I said.
So can love exist? So there's, like, polyamorous relationships where love exists in different shades, in different facets. And
Now, hold on.
people,
We're talking about androgynous love, hetero love, homosexual love, bisexual love, pansexual love, asexual love, aromantic love, demi-romantic, and demisexual love, gynosexual, polysexual, scoliosexual, or sapiosexual.
oh yeah,
Which one? Were we talking about? All of them,
polyamorous,
kind of.
polyamorous, where you love more than one person, or
Ah.
polygamy, where you're mating with more than one person. So if you're in a relationship like that, and you're spreading love around, I guess the question to you is, could you put up with being, like, if you're a Mormon and you had like 4 wives, what is the advantage to having that many wives, and could you survive?
It's probably 4 times worse. Nope.
Yeah, no, I could, yeah,
Unless you were having, that's literally, hold on. I will say this. Having that many wives is the opposite of having that many sexual partners. Like, if you had one wife and you were cheating on her with 3 mistresses, I get it. You're sexually doing your thing. You're deviant. You're into this. You have to constantly be doing your sexual thing. If you have 4 wives,
that's
you are
the reverse of having mistresses. Yeah,
exactly. You're almost asking for more chores. How many honey-do lists does that homie have?
oh my goodness.
How many times has she told him not to put the milk there, but it was the other one? That was the one who told him not to leave his boots in the foyer. And the other one was the one who was always saying, I told you can't come in after 8 and close that door. It'll wake up Jimmy. And you're like,
I forgot this was my 4th family I'm on. I mean, it's tough.
I'm sorry. I thought you were 2. Family 2.
This brings it back to, like, if you bring a new wife into the fold, then you have that new relationship energy. So you have more energy focused on this new person.
The new one.
And then all of the other wives get jealous that you have to balance it out and then figure out how to massage that love back into their relationships.
Spend all this money back onto theirs? It's money, usually money.
Time.
Because you can't put time or money, one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Usually not both. You could spend money on one, time on another, and then what else? Whatever commodities do you have?
Just
big wiener?
Yeah, body parts. Just give her your kidney.
So here's an interesting thing I came up with. I didn't find this anywhere, but when we were talking about love versus infatuation versus limerence and all that, all these things where you stars in your eyes, hearts in your eyes, and you can't wait to be around someone, that doesn't end up happening when you're with someone full time and you experience trials and tribulations with them. Wednesday nights eating tacos and just sitting around doing nothing. Fridays when their cousin died and like you don't know how to feel that sad because you don't really know their cousin, but you know they're going through a lot, so you have to pretend to be sadder than you really are, but you don't want to overdo it.
You have to be there for them.
Yes, and I get that, but like you don't know how sad you should be, and if you're like, are you going to eat the last taco? Like, how do you ask that? There's a lot that goes on in relationships that take course. They go on for days and hours, and you spend every waking hour with someone. It's different.
It's when when you fart in front of them and they don't care. There's a
disgusting
comfort.
Shut up. You're disgusting.
Yeah.
They fart back. Yeah.
There's a comfort there, though, that you spend so much time together that nothing could really bother you, but it's kind of does, but you don't say it.
Sure.
There's that, there's a sense of relaxation there, which is
I agree.
Kind of plain and boring, actually, is once you really get to know somebody, they're just a human being, and they're not an object of affection that you crave and desire. You're no longer, most of the people are no longer limerent or obsessive or infatuated.
Right.
I would like to see
those
someone
things don't last, right?
Yeah. Can you be infatuated with the person you married for 10 years?
9 years?
Yeah.
12 years? No, I don't think so.
I don't know how that would work.
You're not like, you hate them. That's the funny thing about love over a dozen years. You hate them. That's not a joke or rumor, and that's the thing that I don't think gets conveyed in love in general. People are like, you're going to find the right person, and you're just going to be in love forever.
Ecstatic.
No,
honeymoon.
You're going to hate them. I'm not exaggerating the word. I mean, like the way they do X, Y, and Z. They clip their fingernails during a podcast. They throw them all over the place, and you're like, I want to wring their goddamn neck. And then you see this, and you're like, they left the
sinks and the dishes with napkins again? Why do you put any paper towel or napkin in the sink? There's a trash can over here. You did it with the food on the plate, but you won't do it with the napkin, and now it's wet. So I get a soggy napkin in the sink, and you do this 4 times a week. And I tell you every time, and I'm the one who has to take the napkin out, not you. And even when you do it, I want to know why you're doing it. You know what I mean? And you hate that person. But at the end of the day, hating them for that moment right there isn't worth leaving them for your whole life. Like, cutting them out of your life.
You're tabulating all the positives and negatives, and they are too, and they're trying to make sure they meet somewhere in the middle that's a balance. But you don't really know how much work the other person's putting into certain positives and certain negatives, and
you can't know, I guess, right?
You can never know. So when you get married and it's a relationship and you have kids, there's a whole weird balancing act of you sacrificing yourself.
That's a whole other addition. We didn't even talk about that.
But that's
because you're already
love, isn't it?
Everything for the kid. It is. And what I was going to say is what I didn't come across, what I didn't read anywhere, but I thought of for my definition of love. Love's when you take another person and incorporate their whole life to be part of your life. I know that sounds like something people say, but it's like saying someone else is my right arm and my right leg. I never would look at my right arm, my left leg, and be like, that's the sexiest thing I ever seen. Give me your little right leg and right arm. But where would I be without them? Like, I can't imagine not having them be a part of my life. I've literally incorporated them into my being. They're a part of me. And if I were to lose that part of me, that's literally a losing part of me. I don't know.
That's even more than being altruistic or selfless. Like, you're incorporating them into you.
Both.
Yeah.
I mean, it's altruistic and it's selfish. I mean, that's you. You've connected to someone else so deeply and infused your lives together so much that you never you could hate them. I hate my right arm when it can't, do whatever I needed to do as furiously as I needed to do it. You know what I mean? I hate it. I'm so mad at it. But ultimately, I can hate it all I want. I would never live a day without it. I wouldn't want to go without my right arm, hand.
Yeah, I will say that I married my wife because she was the best woman I ever met and still is. And at that time, there's like the options that were available to me made complete sense, and they still do. So it's like, I guess regret for other people is maybe when they don't make that right choice, or they decide, no, I'm going to see what else is out there, and then they can never come back to the person that they desired and they were infatuated with. So maybe there's a whole element to like not living a life, I guess, all the options in life people get caught up in, all the other options of love, the possibilities, people get stuck on that sort of thing.
I wrote down my relationship pieces, right?
Oh, yeah?
My timeline of love. When I was 4 or 5, I don't remember which, my mom would set me up on play dates with Tara.
Oh, Tara.
I forget her last name, but she was a bitch. Her mom was a bitch. I don't know how I know that, but looking back at 5, I have vague memories, but her mom was a total bitch.
Tara.
And then, like, first grade rolled around, like, I had Karen, and the only reason I was ever paired up with her is because me and her were the 2 tallest kids in first grade.
Oh, man.
She was the tallest girl, I was the tallest boy. I was a tall boy. And we would line up together for our sacraments, whatever the hell it was, and pair off. And our moms thought it was so cool, and they got talking, and they made us fall in love, but not really. They were just like, it was arranged marriage. Yeah. And then I remember some of the girls were attractive in grade school, like Sharon Nicole, Jenna. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
So let's talk about, wait. When was this?
Oh,
like,
go ahead.
This is like, what, 7th grade? You actually are physically attracted?
Yeah, 7th grade, 6th grade. Oh, totally.
There was a Caitlin in my class that was, it was the first girl that got boobs. And then naturally, so this is part of attachment theory, is that a man
was that
or
everyone?
a woman. Yeah.
Was that everyone kind of fell for her a little bit?
I think so, yeah, because, I mean, she got a full set of boobs.
Bracco.
And then everyone was like, well, these are familiar. I've seen these before. I want to be near those things because they look fantastic. And that stays,
careful, you're talking about a 12-year-old dude. Be careful.
You're going to jail. As a 12-year-old, yeah.
Oh,
but still,
no, I thought you meant yesterday.
Yeah,
okay.
But not as a 33-year-old man. But still, even to this day, boobs are fantastic. I love boobs. Who doesn't love boobs as a man? Boobs
I'm like
as a
lukewarm
man,
on-
not boobs on a man.
I'm like lukewarm on boobs. I love boobs, but I'm not. You know, as long as they have them. I mean, can you imagine like inverted boobs or something? I'd be like, what's going on here?
Keep going. Keep going. I can't. No,
Anyway, I don't know where you're going with inverted boobs.
I
but
can't
anyway.
share that story.
All right, that's fair. So, like, my first serious girlfriend came like in like ninth-ish grade. I dated her for like over a year. Lost my V card. Hell yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And then I went to an all-boys high school, so of course I hung on to her. Did you go to an all-boys school? All-boys high
I
school?
most certainly did because we went to the same high school. What about the spark? So, like, the first relationship I had was probably sophomore year, and there was no spark there, but the intellectual side was there.
Wait, so you guys had an intellectual relationship in what grade? Like 8th grade?
Sophomore year, yeah. So that was like
sophomore,
10th
so
year.
like 10th grade. 10th grade. That's
yeah.
still weird. Like, I can't imagine being intellectually involved with women.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but she's
That's
kind of
weird.
special.
That's cool. I have nothing wrong with that. I think it's cool. I was not there.
But it also ended. So, like, I guess when love ends, like, what are the reasons that you end it? I literally told the girl that I had no spark for her. You think that's a fair? I feel like falling out of love
It is, but it's like weird
can be as
to
painful.
say it in 10th grade.
It is definitely, I guess, I'm me. That's how it goes.
Fair. I like that. So then after her, I did the high school thing. I actually didn't really get involved with girls because I went to an all-boys high school. I was busy being a jerk-off.
Yeah.
Making jokes, being a funny guy, learning how to play bass guitar and, like, listen to music.
Do you ever regret doing the all guys thing? Because, I mean, in certain ways, I realized that my life would have been different. It would have been probably more average and more normal. But I don't know if that would have been better.
Well, I look at it this way. I could have met all these different people, had different relationships, different experiences, but I wouldn't be where I am today. So I don't know that it would have been better or worse. I don't know.
You could have gotten sidetracked and been something else that was less, I don't know how to say it.
I was going to say been in the car after we won state championship with a girl and honking the horn, and then we go through the intersection and we get hit. And then my only black friend from the team, he was there in the hospital, and I said, win for the Titans. And then he went and he won, and I had a big injury. I couldn't even play if I'm trying to remember it. Oh, that's Remember the Titans. God damn, I thought it could have happened to me. But anyway.
Vicarious living.
Yeah, like in the 70s? Yeah, I think so. No, it wasn't me. You're right. It was someone else. But no, you're right. I have no clue where I'd be or what would happen.
How personal are you going to get? You stopped right when you got to the high school.
Yeah, I was going to get to the next stage.
Sensitive?
There's a bunch of girls. No, well, so we worked at Freddie Hill, and I had tons of crushes on tons of girls there.
Oh, yeah? Did you ever act on them? You feel like you were a little limerick? Well, not limerick, limerence? Have a little limerence toward them?
So, hold on. Check this. So, my neighbor, who was a friend of mine, lives like a few doors away. She's a cute girl. I still remember, like, I felt like she had a crush on me and, like, whatever. I think she was going away to college. And I was going to try and make out with her in the garage when I was leaving because I would go hang out with her and then go back home.
How awkward is, like, high school love?
Oh, it's so weird,
it's
dude.
So strange.
Do you know what I did? Hold on. I did the coolest thing. So, I said goodbye. I was going away to college, or she was. It was like the last night we were hanging out, and like we were just friends. We didn't do anything. So I went up, and I was like, she was like, "Oh, what's wrong?" And I was like, "I forgot something." And she was like, "What?" And I leaned in and made out with her. It's such a good move. It was a classic. And I was like, I told all my friends. It was real cool. But ended up getting into a relationship and dated her for like 6 years. And it was like all my friends, relatives knew her. I knew her friends' relatives. I knew like everyone through her.
Extended family.
And that was, yeah, I mean, and then I was breaking up with her multiple times, multiple reasons, multiple occasions. But it was like, it's weird to explain because very involved, but it's like breaking up with someone's family and friends.
So you're breaking all the familial bonds.
Yeah, it wasn't just
storage bonds.
But like, yeah, I was breaking up with her friends, her family. I was breaking off our friendship love. Like I was breaking off our platonic love too, like stuff like that.
So during this time, were there other girls? So like, I'll bring in there are multiple women that I dated in college that I don't remember very much at all. I'm sorry, but like you don't remember the first kiss. Like you remember like certain moments, but overall, like some of the bad relationships, you just kind of skim right over it. Like you learn from those, you probably incorporate it into your own personal belief system.
How long do you consider a relationship? 2 dates?
Is it like what you've done with a person, or like how long you've spent with a person? Because there's certain things that I've done that have been really short term, and there are certain things that have lasted a long time and not have done anything with them.
That's true. That's a good point. So then, how do you feel about the ones that are gone then? The ones that passed, the ones that you had bad relationships with? Do you think of them as friends? Do you think of them as past chances? Like where do they lie in your scheme?
So this is like, 12 years removed from having dated some of them, probably even more than that. So I don't really think about them. Like I think about the possibility of talking to them, but I don't
right
think
now. Like what if you heard good news about one of them? Like one of them won the lottery. Holy shit! What if one of them got hit by a car and you read it in the news?
Oh, that's sad. Oh boy.
Shit. That's it though.
I don't think that I'd go to their funeral. I guess it would be as I get older. I might think I feel like I should say goodbye to them in a certain way because they were integral to my life at a certain point. But now I don't feel that connected to them at all. Like I through a friend of someone that I dated for a while that had a big impact on me, is that I could connect to them through various ways and like reconnect to them, but I have no desire to. Like the desire is gone. I don't think that those relationships would have worked now, knowing what I know now from other relationships that I've gained that were not necessarily sexual. I realized that person was a little different than I was, and it probably would never have fit into the couple category.
That makes sense. No, it wouldn't work out long term. So it was interesting your lives passed, but it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't going to be. Makes sense. But no harm, no bad words. It's just that's a trial and tribulation, error, or figure it out. That's part of your life.
Yeah, I wish I had more of those to figure out what I truly loved in life.
Like I dated someone for 6 months named Evelyn, who we had a great relationship, a lot of good sex, all that stuff.
You said it.
I know. But what's crazy is I felt like I was really attached to her. Like I was not. It's probably limerence is a really good word for it. It wasn't love. It was like I was all about her. I could spend a little bit, and I could spend a lot of time with her. Whatever. Well, she broke up with me fairly suddenly, and she figured it wasn't a big deal to me. She was like, "You don't take anything seriously," and something else. And
I feel like they always spin it to be like less than it is
against you, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, "No, I'm not going to break up with you," and I didn't really fight to stay together, so I guess she was right. But then, like, I saw her on Facebook like a couple years ago or something. She has a kid with someone who else I knew, and I was like, "That's the craziest thing I ever met." And I don't regret it. Like, I don't wish I had a kid with her at all. It's just almost like. It seems like she's another person now. And I'm like, I don't get who I was with. Who the hell was I with? That's not you. But I imagine so many people I probably dated on that list who look at me and are like, this guy, Nick has a kid.
Completely different.
They're like, what? He takes care of his kid? Like, it's just, I guess you change. And
you
so
never
other
see people the same. I have that same. I remember somebody that I dated very briefly that I thought it could work with, and then seeing her probably like last year, I looked at her Facebook and I was like, "Wow, you look similar. Like I could tell it was you,
right?
But you're completely different.
You're a housewife. You got all this going on. You're dressed this way. You act this way. You post these things. You're like, who are you?"
So this brings in another stat: was that for men who are in a relationship, they will actively seek another mate. But for a woman who is looking at someone who's in a relationship, they will not seek that mate. Or if they're in a relationship themselves. So when a woman finds somebody, they generally stick to that person and don't try to branch out into new relationships. But men will do it rapidly.
So men cheat more? Is that essentially what you're saying, sort of?
I don't know the stats on it, but I believe they do.
Seek to cheat more?
They'll seek to cheat more.
Okay. Whether they actually cheat more or not.
Mm-hmm.
What's weird is, who do you think falls in love more?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Because that's weird. That cheating stat reminds me of that Quartz article about what if the purpose of love is not to get us in a relationship, but out of them.
So
it's just
that's like 3 to 5% monogamy in
animals.
In nature.
I mean, it's not a lot. That's a really low number.
I'm also curious about how much women think about it versus how much men think about it, because I don't think they're in a relationship. You probably don't share those feelings that, like, oh, this other person is really interesting, and I would probably like to have a relationship with them, but I can't do that. Like, you would never share that with your significant other.
No.
That's a terrible thing. They're going to remember that and be like, you're going to cheat on me. I'm going to watch you like a hawk.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this applies to everyone or anyone or it's specific just to me, but I have a rule of thumb that when the sex goes in a relationship, it's the beginning of the end of the relationship. Now, there's always medical reasons why or why not, and certain stipulations and things happen. I get it, but any relationship I've had, and maybe this is a me thing, as the sex goes down less and less and less, the relationship tends to drift less and less and become icier as well. And I saw a whole article on how sex isn't just a physical act, like it's intimate. I mean, think about what a relationship is. A relationship is literally saying, what's the only rule? I will not have sex with another person. Yeah. So that must mean that sex is pretty important. I mean, people say it's not important in a relationship, but think about it. It's the only rule. Right?
For men. Well, I guess you could,
for the most part,
you could kiss somebody else. You could have emotional, you could be emotional cheating, which you're emotionally involved with somebody else.
Oh, so you're talking about work wife? Because I read a whole article on work wife, everybody.
Work spouse.
Work spouse, sorry. Work spouses are the worst because it's emotional cheating. Read a whole article about it last month, and I was like,
So you're saying that like casual dating or casual relationships just can't happen? It's a bad idea. So like friendships with women. So that's a cross-sex relationship. As if you're going to have a friendship with a woman, most of the time a man is sexually attracted to the woman and the woman is something other. I'll say that.
What the hell was... I didn't understand that.
Something other is that they're not interested in you sexually. Or they're not going to...
How do you know?
As a man, you're constantly attracted to other women.
As a man, you're not... Okay, sure.
Yeah, as a woman, you might be attracted to the different aspects of a man that don't relate to them sexually. And they'll keep you as a friend because you're funny, or you help them in some way, or you're intelligent, or you have connections, or you're rich, or any number of things. I'll take funny. Thanks.
I'll take funny. Thanks, though. Thanks, folks.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to do a break in the podcast because we're almost done here and talk about.
Wait, I want to talk about one thing.
I wasn't going to finish it. I was just going to say a break.
Yeah, but this is like right in the. This is right.
Oh, good. Go ahead. Please.
So like work wives and work husbands, they call it like the glass partition. Have you ever heard this term?
No, go ahead.
Is that so? They try, like, we both try not to have relationships at work because we separate each other with a glass partition, because they say that like when people start to form bonds that are a dyad, which is two people becoming really close, there's so many other people that then see that and are envious or jealous of that. It starts to degrade the quality of the people that are in the dyad, the close, tight relationship. Yeah, that relationship is negatively focused on their career. So most people in those relationships figure out that they don't want to be solely engaged with one person like a work spouse or work wife, because it then will then ruin their future career.
It could. It doesn't ever end up being good, I guess.
Mm.
The other thing is you share intimate details about your life with your real spouse usually.
Yeah.
And paint them in a negative light almost constantly. Not every time, but you divulge secrets that you literally would probably only tell your spouse. Sometimes even secrets you wouldn't tell them.
I read statistics about people who have engaged in extramarital whatevers, physical contact.
Whatevers.
And like one of the stats was like, do you regret what happened? And it was only like 1 out of 6 regretted it.
Was like
they were happy that they actually had done whatever they did, which is kind of a curious thing. Yeah.
Well, it goes back to love drying up. Usually starting with, for me, sexuality, but also going to intimacy, and also, I guess, if commitment still exists, but passion and intimacy are gone, you're
triangles.
You're riding the triangles, very leaning on one wheel.
Yeah.
As an aside, everyone who's watching the podcast, we greatly subscribe to a product you all at home should check out. It's called Quickie Cuffs, folks. Silicone handcuffs. You slip them on your little hands there. Whoa, getting a little
restrained there.
Whoa, what's going on here? Anything could happen, folks. Look at me. I can get out. Wait, honey. Yo, kids are coming. Oh, shit. Take it off. 8 seconds, put it back in your pocket.
Daddy.
Boom. This is great because you can also, fits right in here, put it in a little purse. Boom. Look at that. Takes up no room at all. A little quick action. You can also bring them on an airplane. They got no metal parts. Not going to set off the airport security and have everyone come and looking at your bag. And you got,
I didn't even know they were handcuffs. They look like they were plastic bottle holders or something.
They're made of silicone. It's not going to affect your skin. It's beautiful stuff. They're called Quickie Cuffs, folks. We're going to put a link on the bottom. All our proceeds are hopefully going to go to us. If they don't buy them. But these are for the spur of the moment things. A little something. We'll bring a little sexuality back in your relationship. A little spark. Maybe buy them on the cheap. You would think they were like $60, right?
Yeah.
Wrong. They're like $13.
Wow.
You buy them, I guarantee you can get $13 of fun out of that. Boom! Give it a shot, folks.
Quickie
Cups today.
Or Quickie?
Quickie.
With an E or a Y?
Although they may have someone in the relationship quaking by the end.
Oh, that's what I was thinking about.
Just thinking about them right now. Anyway, sex in a relationship is important. Because think of it, as we mentioned earlier, it's the only thing your partner and you have agreed you're both mutual. You're the only person you're doing it with.
Yeah.
So you can't get that from anyone else. And if you're feeling too embarrassed or like it's weird to ask for it, like you get into a weird self-loathing thing and then a loathing them thing. And then your sexual repression, energy, release, like who are you going to for that? Some weird pornography in a dark corridor is what you're doing.
So we'll bring it back to Valentine's Day. There's like almost like a foreplay aspect to it, that you put the time and effort and you're slowly building up to a romantic evening. You've spent money. You've shown them that you're completely interested and focused. There's, I guess, a love aspect that you eventually get physical with them, and then you do the nasty. What is, like, I guess that's good that we have a day that is supposed to be for us, like as us as in like couple and couple. But is it female centric or is it man centric?
It's female centric. Do you know why? I've celebrated probably 10 Valentine's Days.
You never got flowers.
With a steady girlfriend, everything, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Do we get a video game?
I've probably had sex on less than 2 of them.
Wow, that's terrible odds.
You know what those odds are? Let's throw it into a blender, call it the canary, and see if it survives. Okay?
That's terrible.
That's what I'm saying. It's literally my worst holiday.
You should.
And I spend more money on it.
Yeah.
I should stop spending money on it and stop trying. Anyway,
I don't know. I think it's all of the stuff that becomes more media centric and all focused on you buying stuff. It's the man who ends up buying stuff. I can't wait till it flips and the women have to buy me video games and tell me I'm fantastic, rub my feet, scratch my back.
Hold on. What if she learns how to play your game without you knowing, and she's secretly playing really well and trying to get all those extra achievements
for you?
Doing mundane things? Yeah. She's like, I got 100,000 hit points on so and so, and it's like, how'd you do that? She's like, I just hit the practice dummy for 4 hours straight. And you're like, thanks, babe.
Oh.
And you look at your little achievement trophy. You're like, 100% of that game. Nice.
Ba-ding. Oh,
would you give it to her?
You mean sexually?
Yeah. Can I see the trophy first? Can we log on?
I check those pixels.
Ooh, yeah.
I can dream of the day. Dream of the day.
Well, let's wrap up here. That's it. Good job, Ghost. Oh, here we go. Last one.
Wait.
There's go ahead.
There's so I mentioned the attachment theory in babies. There's one in adults as well, where people who are fully grown adults are secure in their own relationships that they had previously. There's other ones that are anxious and preoccupied, which is needy. I've had needy girlfriends. Dismissive and avoidant, which means they want to be separated and isolated. I've had those where you can't connect to them at all. So if you're out there, this is the spin. If you're out there and it's Valentine's Day and you're alone and you haven't met the right person, maybe you're dismissive avoidant. Wow. Or
way to break it down for him.
Maybe you just haven't found the right person. Maybe you haven't found the right personality that meshes with you. Or you could have found somebody that was fearful and avoidant and they're just unworthy of your own love. They can't focus on relationships, so don't get fixated on it. Let that thing go because that person is a terrible piece of shit.
A turd.
Yeah. They're floating in the bowl. You just need to flush that thing down. Just let it right through. Right through your life and down the gutter. Valentine's Day. Brought to you by Dan.
It's a great Valentine's Day message, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that.
You're welcome.
Well, we talked about limerence. We talked about infatuation. We talked about romantic love. We talked about other loves.
Divine, friendly love, guest love, romance.
What's it called when you're into the incest or whatever? Familial romantic love?
I don't think you can combine them.
Some people do.
Some people do. I guess they read the article wrong.
That's their big problem.
Yeah. So of the Greek words, we got agape, storge, philia, xenia, and eros, or cupid if you're Roman. If you decide that you like cupid more than eros. Eroticism comes from eros. So not many word origins have cupid in them. Cupanius. I don't know that there are many words that.
Pretty sure I didn't come across any words. I think that was made up.
No. Unconditional love. That's probably the best, but
it's the one I reserve for kids, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, kids, moms,
having kids,
parents,
covered in shit, covered in crap, dealing with a kid who doesn't care what you did. You bought food, and he's gonna throw the food out, even though you spent 20 minutes making the food, and you're like, I could kill you with this right here.
Yeah, he laughs and then pees.
I'm not going to.
In the crevice of the sofa that you never thought possible. How did you get it in there? What were you doing?
Kill you. I should kill you, but I love you so much.
And then we've got new relationship energy, puppy love, infatuation. Talk about limerence, obsessive,
work wives,
unrequited love. You want to hit your list of loves, consummation, starvation, transference of all of those limerence loves.
Oh, I didn't even talk about that.
Consummate those, or don't, and then let it die out. Or just keep jumping, keep hopping.
Monogamy? We talked about that. That was
Ooh,
great.
Polygamy. What else you got? Intimacy, passion, commitment, glass partition.
I think that's it. We covered every single love. The only thing I will say to end it is how funny would it be if love is just a foolish emotion, kind of like a peacock throwing out its weird colored feathers and
Sexual
whatever.
ornamentation is what you're talking about.
Orientation?
Sexual ornamentation.
No. I'm saying, what if love is just a silly chemical in your brain that has nothing to do with reality, and it's just keeping you pumping your DNA into someone else so they can pass on some DNA, and it really doesn't have any bearing on anything. It's a total coincidence, and it's just a factor of society. How great would that be?
So there is a point that I wanted to make that I completely forgot about until you mentioned it. Is that love doesn't make any sense, and love drives people crazy. And I think that's an evolutionary trait, is that you're supposed to mix your genes with as many people as possible. And if someone says, hey, I want those genes, you're going to give them your genes because you're in love. That's how love works.
Hey, are you ligase? Because I want to unzip them jeans.
Give me those ATPs.
Oh, baby, that's a bio joke. And for everyone else, I'm bi. He's O.
I'm double O. 07.
Double O. Well, folks, it's Valentine's Day. Be careful out there.
Are the pink ones for the women?
Sure. Or for the women who are putting something on to give it to the men.
Fantastic.
Careful out there, folks, no matter who's wearing what, who's giving it to who's who and who's putting what and who. Just make sure you have protection, folks. It's from the panders. You don't want something that's going to stick around for a dozen years and nag you every time that the drain gets full.
Swaddle your puppy so you don't have to swaddle that puppy when it comes out.
Folks, friggin' like you.
Like you. A lot.
A lot. We love you. Check, check, check.